Hi. So I wanted to explain kind of how cases and cases and psychic mediums work. Like, I think there's a huge misconception that because somebody is psychic, a medium, they're supposed to find somebody. They're supposed to have a pinpoint location. They're supposed to be able to tell you everything about a case because they're psychic. People have to understand that we are still humans. We're just connecting to a different vibration. So it's all in how we perceive the information. Also, we're all gifted differently. We all receive information differently, and spirit works with us differently. It's really puzzle pieces that we have to put together. Sometimes we feel more things on one case than we do another. Sometimes certain cases are easier, sometimes they're harder, sometimes there's more involved. Sometimes locations are easy, sometimes they're hard. I've had many times where it's like direct, like Riley, where it's, second curve under a barge kind of thing. I've had times where I've made maps, such as Dylan, which I didn't even know till someone shared with me because I forget. I get involved in so many cases, I don't know the areas that I get for certain things. Where I had a map drawn out, and if we would have extended the astrology lines, it would have went right to where Dylan was found. I had that a couple years ago. Nobody listened. So, I could do 500 readings. I could tell you, where I could feel that they could be at. And I might be wrong on that. Like, I'm only trying to put the puzzle pieces together like you are. But in the way that I'm trying to do it now is I'm trying to follow my readings along with the astrology, and I'm learning lessons too. Like, we're always learning, we're always evolving, we're always growing. And that's what people need to understand is everything has a timing. So our astrology is never wrong. It's how we perceive it, just as how we perceive readings. As humans, we can be wrong on things. We can misperceive things, but that doesn't mean that spirit is. So if we're meant to get a location and specific details for that location, we will. If we're not, we won't. Sometimes it's in our charts to be able to help towards a case, and sometimes it's not. That's why always go where I'm pulled and where I'm drawn, because it's one of those things where the cases choose me, I don't choose them. It has to do something to do with an energy match and the way that my interconnects work. And interestingly enough, my interconnects work also with the way of their astrology. So it's kind of like all going hand in hand and connecting. Um, so I think there's a lot of misconceptions that psychics are supposed to find people. They're supposed to know an exact area. I could do 500 readings on a case and never come up with an area. I could do 500 readings on a case and never come up with a suspect. Or I could do one or two readings, come up with an area, and come up with the suspects. It just depends on what spirit gives me and why they give it to me. Everybody is supposed to be found in the timing they're supposed to be found, how they're supposed to be found. And we're just here to do puzzle pieces just in case we're part of that. But there's no point to continue to do more readings and more readings because it confuses the situation. So, like, say my most accurate readings are the very first reading or the first and second reading. Anything after that, I tend to get further out on location, and I tend to bring in a lot of interconnects. Just what I'm telling you guys on how I work and from my experience, that the more that I work on a case, the more everything gets more confusing, and I go further out, and I'm like, okay, it gets to be too much. And I don't want to force people to follow my information. They either do or they don't. And that's not up to me. A psychic is supposed to put out the information and leave it alone. That doesn't mean we can't look on a map a little bit and try to help a little bit. Look, I help all that I can on cases, but there comes a point where it becomes like I'm chasing my tail. I'm not going to sit here and try to force my information on people for them to do it. People will be found how they're supposed to be found. Although I had a map on Dylan, which I'll put a validation video on that. That area was never searched. I was never taken seriously, which is fine. I'm used to that. But what I'm saying is he was found anyways the way he was supposed to during a confession, which came out in one of the card readings. So although there's now we don't like the situation where we have a plea deal involved, that's just the way it was supposed to happen. So we have to kind of understand that everything goes the way it's supposed to go, regardless of someone's psychic, medium, or not. Sometimes we'll get cases right. Sometimes we'll get them wrong. Sometimes we'll get locations right. Sometimes we'll get them wrong. We're just humans that are connected to another vibration. That is it. No one is, this almighty being that can just, I'll tell you exactly where they are. I cannot point on a map and tell you, yes, they're right there. I'm going by what I'm shown and trying to explain that to everybody. And same goes with forensic astrology. Like I said, our astrology is never wrong. I am learning that, and I am learning it backwards, and I am just repeating what I am told. But it seems like all the lines were relevant in every case. Like, we never know what line to follow. Sometimes it might be one line in one case, sometimes it might be another, depending on, you know, their birth chart and whatnot. So sometimes we have the information for the birth chart, sometimes we don't. But like in Dylan's, it was the Mercury, the sun, and his ascendant that all went towards that way, which makes sense. He went missing during Mercury retrograde. He was found during Mercury retrograde. So, you know, I don't claim to be able to find anybody. I don't claim to be able to give you exact details. It just does not work like that. Psychics do not work like that. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. That's just the way that it is. We're only given the information. We only can give you the information that we are given. We cannot give you anything more or anything less. We cannot, you know, find people. That is, in the grand scheme of things, that is not how it works. It is literally already preordained how someone will be found and when they will be found. Hence, Dylan was supposed to be found in Mercury retrograde. That's why I was being pushed lately, because something was about to twist and turn. The closer to something is to being solved and somebody's about to be found, we usually can pick up more on that. But I just want to put this out to let people know, like, we're not meant to find people. That's not how it works. Just because we're psychic, we don't know everything. We don't know every detail. And I get a lot of people saying, oh, you didn't find this person. Oh, you didn't do that. You must not be psychic. You must be a fraud. It's not necessarily. People don't understand how hard this works, especially when it comes to cases and putting all the puzzle pieces together, trying to see an area and find that area when you can't point out a map and say they're right there. But I mean, a lot of times after someone is found, everything will make sense. A lot of times I'll send somebody to a location and they'll tell me, oh, it's been thoroughly searched, and someone is found months later, because that's the timing of it. So I just want to put that out there and let people know that this is how it works. Psychics are not meant to find people. We're not meant to solve every case or give every bit of information we can. That's why we're not usually given a time, a date, or anything like that when something's going to happen. We can get ideas of what may happen, but we can't change fate. There are fated events. There are ways that things are supposed to take place. So I just wanted to put that out there for people that maybe don't understand it. And maybe I can shoot this video to people that maybe want to learn. I try to educate. That is what this video is for. So thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, and being here. I tried to make this really short because I want to share it on TikTok. Peace out.